for Wicked Art. It's Wicked here, and today we're going to learn how to do custom brushes in Sketchbook and use them in a way that'll make our lives a little bit easier. Like if you want to do things like chains or maybe like Spider-Man's webbing. So the principle will apply the same across, but you want to get a brush that's going to have an easier free flow. And usually these texture brushes are pretty good. So if we come down here and just click on this texture brush, and we just click in this little wheel after we've clicked on it and hit copy. So just pick that second one that's in there, and then just click, hold, and drag that up to your main section. Okay, so first thing we want to do is, like, if we want to do like a chain brush, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of draw the chain itself. So I'm going to thicken my brush up. I'm going to go about 10. And let's use our circle tool. Make ourselves a nice little chain. Got some thickness to it. Let's increase the brush size some more. Yeah, it might be too much. Okay, so we got ourselves a nice circle there. Okay, I can close that out. And then right here, I can simply just, if I want to make sure that's straight, if I want to, I can go at a 90, come down here, and make myself a little chain link. Okay, now you could leave this just black if you want to color and paint over it, but if you want to save yourself some time, right? So we can kind of go into kind of like this blue area and do like a blue steel chain. Go for more of a silver, right? So I could come in here, my paint bucket, and just fill that in. And then what I can do is I can take like a darker gray and just come in here, and let's go to our selection tool and pick our magic wand. That way it'll help us stay inside. Okay, so now if I come in here and I want to give like the inside a little bit of shadow, I can just paint around in here until I get that look that I want. Okay, so that could be the inside chain. Maybe take that down right along the edge here. Do the same thing here. Okay, and then we can have that like that. We'll leave the inside chain alone right here. Okay, and then I can go and switch to this brighter color, right? And I can come out here and give it some highlight on one side. So I'm just trying to get it to where it looks somewhat even. Doesn't have to be super perfect unless you're doing like a close-up of your chain. And we'll just keep the sunlight on this side right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Command or Control D depending on what you're on. Okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to duplicate the layer. Okay, and then I'm just going to simply take my paint bucket tool and we can go for a gold color and fill that in there. Then go for like a darker shade on that, and then we can go for a white color on our glare right here. Okay, so this way it'll give you a couple options for chain colors if you want. So we have 2 of them now. So what I'll do is I'll click on this copy that I made. I'm going to take it, I'm going to make another copy. That way I have 2 for each chain. I'm going to turn off this one. Make sure I'm clicked on this chain layer. I'm going to double click. It'll open up your brush properties. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to increase the flow to 100 because I don't want to lose any of my detail. And I'm just going to click with color, okay, and I'm going to click capture, and that'll help. Now if you just want to keep it black and white, you can do that, but I'm going to capture my chain, okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to look at the spacing, right, until it starts looking like a chain. So just depending on how you drew it, okay. And then watch, when I come in here and start painting, I now have myself a simple chain design, right? So the next thing you want to do, so you can remember what it is, this little icon right here, if you click on that and you shape as icon, you now can see your silver chain, right? So now I can click on that and then open up this one and click this layer. Alright, next thing I can do is again click on this brush. Now it's something you could do, like see how rough the edges are here? If you really wanted to, you could get yourself your blending tool, right? And you could come in here and try to soften the edges out so it's not so hard. Again, that's just personal taste, whatever you want to do. So like for this one, we'll do that here, okay. And I can do the same thing with that white area and just kind of haze that out just so it looks a little bit softer, okay. You don't have to do that, but that's just something you can do. Again, I'm going to take my brush here, and since we're doing a couple of them, I'm going to go ahead and make a copy again. But I'm going to come back to this one, I'm going to double click, and on my capture, I'm going to increase my brush size with the bracket keys. Click, snap my picture, click with color. Okay, we're going to go up to our spacing, and I'm going to make sure, where to go, right here, my flow is solid. Shrink my brush down, and now I have myself a nice gold chain too. Okay, so that's two options for a chain right there. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this layer, and I'm going to keep this one, but I'm going to erase it out. Well, let's go back to that brush first. Let's go ahead and change that icon to use shape, and now we have that on there as well. You can also double click in here and you can say gold chain and just hit enter, okay, and we can double click on that and say silver chain, and then just hit enter on that. Okay, so now when I click on it, it'll say what it is as well, just in case for some weird reason you forget what it is. But I'm going to erase that out. Okay, I'm going to switch back to black, and we're going to come in here. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to switch to a gray again. Now keep in mind, there are, just depending on what you want for your color, there are black chains and stuff like that, but I'm just going to stick with this gray theme right now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my brush, and some other things we want to do with your chains, like those are basic chain links, right? But what if you wanted to look more like a cool chain kind of look? So like I can take my brush, let's increase the size again. What do we have? I think it was 30. Okay, so I can come from here, and we have different kinds of chains, right? So this is how you can find yourself able to do different styles of chains. You're not doing the same thing every time, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna pick our selection tool and select all that, and then come back to my brush again, and we'll get that darker chain color. Brush might be too big, let's shrink that down. Okay, So I'm going to come in here and essentially just do the exact same process. Okay, if I kind of go over a little bit, I'm just clicking Alt to get my other brush size back. Okay, so we have different chains that we can use. Alright. Once I get that shadow in, I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm going to go to this gray again. I just like the blue better. Okay, and we'll come down to this kind of a lighter one. And we'll just hit up the corners here. That there, hit Command D. And again, before I do anything, let's go ahead and open up the brush process. Just for now, just to make it easier, we'll just go ahead and change the flow to 100%. That way, when I go and make copies of it, that'll be there. Okay, so I'm going to double click on this. Again, we're going to go down to with color and capture. And I can click on that. Come back up to under stamp, do my spacing. Okay, so now we got ourselves a cool little diamond chain. So now when I paint or draw anything, it's got a cool different shape to it, right? So I can again click on the icon, use shape, and we can call it diamond chain and hit enter. Okay, so now we have another chain brush type. Well, the other cool thing about this too, these all look pristine and clean, right? So we want to kind of be able to add in some damage and things like that, right? So again, just keeping with the silver, and like I said, you can choose to do whatever colors you want, but we're gonna come in here and I'm gonna increase up to 30. Okay, now I'm gonna do, let's do more like a square chain. Okay, set, we'll round it. That might be too big. Let's go a little thinner. Okay, we've got ourselves a nice square chain. I'm probably going to thicken this one here. Okay. Now the thing that I want to do is I want to create a little bit more thickness just so I can add some damage to this chain. Okay. So first off, things we can do, right? I can take my eraser, I can come in here and we can make little chips in the chain. Maybe I want to put a crack in it. Shrink my brush size some more. I'm just kind of rounding off the edge. Put another chip in right over here. Make a smaller one. And this way your chain's going to look a little bit more worn. Like maybe if this is a person who is battle hardened and they use a chain that's wrapped around their wrist. Kind of like, if you think about it, kind of like God of War kind of look to it. You also want to kind of put some divots in, you know, the other chain to just kind of keep it consistent. Alright, and then once you have those little divots in there, we can take our regular brush again. I can go down to that darker chain size, take my selection tool, pick all that, come back to my brush, and again I can just come in here, shrink my brush size down, and we can just go around and get that shadow in there. Now again, obviously I would want to take my time and add as much detail as possible, but it's not 100% necessary to do so. I'm going to knock this back some there, switch back my color, and then let's thicken this area up a little bit. Okay, so now again I'm going to switch kind of this blue, and we're going to come to these highlights, and again I can put in different areas for highlights on my chain. Show that split there, and come down, and that looks like it has a little bit more damage. So now I can come in here, and you could do other things like come in and make little divots in there, whatever you want to do to make it look more scratchy, that kind of stuff. It's completely up to you how you do that. I can make super thin, and you could put some scratches in here. Again, it just depends on your personal taste on what you want to do. Okay, so again, we're going to come in here. I'm going to make a copy of that brush. I'm going to come in here and double click. I'm going to go down to with color and capture. I can make it bigger, and capture. Okay, so now when I draw, I want to come up here to stamp and spacing. We're going to space that out like that, and now I have me a nice chain that if I was to get in close, I can see the damage on it. Now I will say, let's do this. I'm going to now take the move tool here, make sure you're on this one, and shrink it down so we can get more of the picture. Okay, I'm going to come in here on this, and let's bring this down some more. Okay, and then we'll just make sure we got the right color. Okay, switch back to my white. Again, let's just make sure we get that edge. Okay, so now that's a little bit longer. We can look just as easily. We can come in here, just go back to capture again, make our brush bigger. And the reason why I'm changing that, look at that now. See how it looks like it's connected now? So that's why I decided to go in and change that. So again, I can come in here now and have this damaged brush or damaged chain just free flowing across whatever. Okay, so that's how we would do that if we were doing chains. Alright, so let's think about some other things. First thing I can do is I can come up in here and change my icon to use that, and we'll call this one damaged chain. Okay, just hit enter. Now I can come to this So let's think about some other things. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Alright, so let's say I want to do, I don't know, some grass, right? So I can pick a green-ish color. And you don't have to, again, you don't have to capture this with color, right? Watch, I'll show you. We're just going to do black. Okay, so let's do a simple grass blade. Okay, and go ahead and fill that in. And then if I kind of zoom in and look, see how I didn't get all of it. So let's just kind of fill that in. Now again, you could just leave it flat like this. So let's do the same thing we did before. I'm going to leave it flat like this. Okay, and then we're going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to turn the top one off. We're going to keep this one for now. Okay, so I'm going to double click here. I'm going to go to capture. We're not going to do with color. We're just going to capture it. We've captured that grass. Okay, now I can come up here to the spacing and the rotation. Let's rotate it that way, so about 73 degrees. Right? Now, it looks funky, okay? But now, if I go across, it gives me a nice little random brush. So that's where you can kind of like switch to the green. And you can just go across that way and make yourself some grass. The other things we can look at is the randomness on the spacing, right? You can come in here and it can change up the spacing that you have to make it a little bit more you know, not so uniform. And I could space that out more that way, or I can bring it in closer this way, right? And we have ourselves a nice little, we'll just call it basic grass. Okay, so I'm going to take this layer and just delete it. We'll turn this one on. Now here's what I was talking about. We can come back in here with this color here. Okay, let me go ahead and let's make a copy of this brush. Okay, I can zoom in here, switch to my regular brush, and again, let's use our selection tool, pick our brush, and we just stay right along the edge there. And give it a slight highlight, right? So let's see what we can get from that. When we double click, right? I come down here to my capture, make it big, capture, and then we're going to do our spacing and rotation. So now if I paint, that's a little too far. Let's bring it in. Let's go more like that. And let's rotate it that way. Let's see what that looks like. That's pretty good. Okay, now watch what happens if I go to green now. See how it's not capturing any of that? That's the importance here with the with color thing. So like I would want to come in here and take, we'll just use the paint bucket just to make it faster, right? So I click that, make that green, and then we can go to a lighter green zoom in for this one. Take that, and you just kind of switch back to this and just kind of bleed that in. Okay. Now if I come out, double click on this again, okay, I can recapture. Take that. And again, I can switch between different colors. And it's not going to affect anything. So if you know for a fact that that's what you want, which I wouldn't use a brush like this one, so I would just get rid of that. I just wanted to show you you can capture still with color. So again, if I came in here, this is my grass in the distance, and as I get closer, increase the brush size until it's literally right on there with the screen, you know. So another way you could do that would be to simply just find a blade of grass silhouette, right? So if I was to go in right now, and that's what I'm doing, I'm just typing in grass silhouette, okay? And you just want to find one that is just one and not multiple, just from the standpoint that, I mean, unless you, if you wanted to, I mean, I guess you really could. Just depends on the type of grass you're wanting to do. But you just type that in there and bring that in, but you would just snap the picture the same way and come in, bring it in here, and just capture that, and then you can just paint with that, okay? So that's how you can do some grass. So the other thing, the last thing I'll show you, and trust me, this is a simple version of this. I would hope you'd put more detail into your work. But let's go for like a brown color, a little darker brown. Okay. So I am going to draw a tree. And this will be a very lame cartoony tree, but I just wanted to make a point with this. Okay, so if I shrink this down, one, shrink it down some, move it, and then I'll zoom back in. Okay, and then I got like a branch, shrink that back down, a branch that comes off this way, it continues up, goes that way, and this one just comes down right into the tree. And close those off real quick. But if you just, take your time and really, work the details out on your tree with how much detail you want in it, you can also use this as a method of just simply stamping what you want on there, right? So if I just wanted this to be a tree, I'll just do a quick little jagged thing. Okay. Again, obviously I would take more time and really work out the details on this tree. But I can take that, we'll fill that in. Got myself a nice little tree here. Okay. Or we can go this route. We can just block off all the branches that way. Again, just personal taste for you. Okay, we'll make a copy real quick just so we have. I'm going to click capture, increase our brush size, capture that. Okay, I can simply just come in here with my spacing, do with color. Okay, can also rotate it so that it stands up straight. And once I come in here, I can just stamp my tree. Now when it turns sideways like that, I have no idea. Let's try that again. Okay, so let's rotate to 0 again. I think one of our randomness things is still on. No, that's all good. Okay, so you just come in here, you got yourself a tree. I can come across, and that's when it's going to turn. So if you just wanted to use the stamping and just put a tree in there, that's how you can do that. Or you can change it to where if you're wanting to paint like a forest, right, we can switch it back up, put them closer together. I can come in here. If these were like a bunch of trees off in the distance, and come in here and paint me a forest. And again, work in more detail on your tree. I wouldn't, use this one. But I'm just going to get rid of that one. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is something that can just help, with your scenes that you're doing. I'm going to switch to black. Okay, I'm going to shrink my brush size down. What we're going to do is I'm going to draw a leaf. And again, I'm not going to go super detailed, but we'll just come in here. And we can draw a leaf. Okay, and come in here and make a little bit of line work. You don't have to put any on there, honestly. It's up to you. Okay, so you could put the line work on there, or you could just do like this, leave it blank. Everything's connected, so I can simply just take my paintbrush. Let's say it was more like an autumn. And come in here and fill that in. Get yourself a little bit of a brown for the stem. And then I can use that same thing, double click. We can come down here to capture, increase that brush size with color, and you can just call it autumn leaves. If it's black and white and you just want to add, paint in the color individually yourself later, that works too. Okay, so for the spacing, we're going to kind of space them out. Okay, rotation doesn't matter. You can leave that however. I want to come down here into this randomness section. So we can go to rotation randomness and just put it at like 60, right? Spacing randomness, just wherever. If I shrink this down now, and you just kind of play with it, if you had your tree present, right? Let me erase this leaf. If you had your tree present, you could come in here and just keep playing the spacing randomness. Let's take that to 0, see how that goes. That's too much. And leaves were just falling. You can just go that route and just have your leaves fall. So you just play with the spacing. If you want them completely spaced out, you could go like that and just have them fall that way. Okay, if you wanted, different sizes to appear, you can size randomness, and that way you could have a better flow coming from the tree. It's just up to you. Okay, so I can take that and call that autumn leaf, and use shape icon. Okay, so just to review, we have ourselves a chain that's silver, a chain that's gold, we have a diamond chain, we have a damaged chain. I'll shrink that down just a little. We have a damaged chain, we have some grass that we can use, and we have our leaves. Okay, so if you like what you saw, please feel free to subscribe. If you have other ideas of things you want to see digitally or just traditionally, let me know in the comments. It'll help me make a video for you specifically, and other people too who might be afraid to ask, but I am willing to teach as much as you would like. I hope you had fun today. I really hope you learned something to make your life easier. As far as using Sketchbook goes, let me know in the comments what you think, or just like I said, any other ideas that you have. Until next time, keep sketching, and I will see you in the next one, okay? Bye.